Good evening everyone, Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important live video update this evening. So as you've seen in the title of tonight's video, this how long do we have to keep up this ridiculous 1.5 metre social distancing garbage and all the other associated removal of our freedoms and liberties to just go about our daily lives without all this government oversight. It's madness. You can't go anywhere now without seeing these stickers on the ground. Everyone has to keep 1.5 metres away from each other. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we buying into this? Okay? I've been asking this, I've been talking to friends about this, and we're asking, how long is this insanity going to continue? How long are people going to keep buying into this before starting to ask some real questions? Okay, think about it. Okay, most shops nowadays, if you go certainly to any major shopping centres, or God forbid you go to any of these outlet stores, most of the stores have queues before you can even get into the store. Then in the store there's all these signs, arrows about the aisles you can go down. You must stay 1.5 metres away from each other. You can only have a certain number of people per aisle and all the rest of it. Yet you go out the front of the store and you look at the queue and everybody's standing right up against everybody else waiting to get into the store. So much for this 1.5 metre social distancing. Okay, and again, just because there's numbers of people in aisles, go to Bunnings any day of the week you want. Only 4 people per aisle. Okay, that's great. Firstly, you often see more than 4 people per aisle. But again, the aisles are only so wide. People are brushing past each other all the time. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, even our own government's COVID safe app, COVID safe app, okay, will only track you if you've been within 1.5 metres of somebody else for 15 minutes. Okay, now you can look this up for yourself. This comes straight off the health.gov.au website. And it says here, who is a close contact for notification purposes? And it says, state and territory public health officials will have the contact information for other users who've been approximately 1.5 metres for 15 minutes or more. As I said, people brush past each other, seconds at a time in supermarkets virtually every minute of every day, as well as in plenty of other stores as well. But then they're told, oh no, you must stand 1.5 metres apart when you're waiting to go to the checkout, where again, you might only stand for a minute or two. There's absolutely no consistency here. It just makes no sense. Now also, is anyone giving any thought at all to where this whole 1.5 metre insanity started from in the first place? How did we come up with that? Well, we came up with that because our government said, okay, that if somebody sneezed or coughed that had this virus, it could potentially project up to 1.5 metres. Okay, great, I can kind of get my head around that. But where does the 15 minutes come in? Either you cough and sneeze and it's going to land on someone and they're going to get it, or it's not. Well, what's 15 minutes got to do with it? How on earth is that relevant in any way, shape or form? And if it is, because that's what the COVID safe app is tracing, can someone explain this to me? It just doesn't make any sense. Now again, we go back to this COVID safe app. It only tracks people over a 21-day rolling period, okay, to take into account the 14-day incubation period of this so-called virus. So, why on earth, if there's only a 14-day incubation period, and even if the COVID safe app only tracks for 21-day rolling period, why have we been in lockdown for 10 weeks? This just makes no sense. But hang on, it gets worse, because since we have all been in lockdown essentially for 10 weeks, then nobody's got anything, so why do we need to keep up this social distancing garbage? Why do we have to keep this 1.5 metres away from everyone? It just makes no sense. Is there anyone out there with a brain to ask these questions at all? Now again, this comes straight off the government website. How does COVID safe work? It says, COVID safe uses a rolling 21-day window to allow for the maximum 14-day incubation period of the coronavirus and the time taken to confirm a positive test result. The rolling 21-day window allows the app to continuously note those user contacts that occurred during the coronavirus incubation window. Contacts that occurred outside of the 21-day window are automatically deleted from the user's phone. So, how are we still being coerced into this insanity? Now, remember, no one's been forced. Okay, I've made that clear before. No one is being forced, but they're certainly being coerced. And you can only be coerced into something if you allow yourself to be coerced. So you need to stop, you need to think, you need to start asking questions, and then you need to start, of course, asking the government questions as well, and getting them to answer and holding them accountable to those answers. These are the steps. It's not rocket science. It's very simple, yet people can't do these, basic things. Most of the people that I speak to, especially anyone over the age of 40, and especially anyone with half a brain, okay, agrees that this whole coronavirus thing has been blown completely out of proportion. Okay, the economic impacts are far worse than any of these, so-called health impacts. Yes, some people have died and they've had this thing. But again, as we said before, most of the people had other pre-existing underlying conditions anyway. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Despite what they like to think, despite what they like to believe, our governments are not gods. Okay? They cannot stop deaths. They cannot stop road deaths. Okay, there's all this, TAC, if you're in Victoria, aiming for a zero road toll. It's not possible. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere in the world. You can't stop people dying. They can't stop people dying from the flu each year. They certainly can't stop coronavirus deaths. But you know what they can do? They can stop small businesses from going out of business. That they can stop. You know what else they can stop? They can stop the massive increase in the number of suicides that have been occurring since this whole lockdown insanity. Again, that is something they can most assuredly stop. And those are the things that they should be stopping. Okay, now my partner and I, we went out for lunch one day last week. We went out for dinner another night. So we went to a couple of different venues, and we found out that it doesn't matter what size the venue is, they're limited to just 20 people, no matter what size the venue is. Now, if this is just a smaller cafe or a smaller personalised restaurant, that's probably not so much of a big issue, although they've still got this 1.5 metre distancing garbage. But for a larger venue, venues that could hold 50 or 100 people, to reduce them down to only 20, that's a massive impact on their bottom line. Okay, that's a reduction of, 50% or more in some cases. Okay, there is a finite period of time that you can continue to stay in business on 50% of turnover or 50% of income. Okay, this is all about control. Now, then you've got these other venues, okay, hotels and stuff, where they've got a restaurant and then they've got a bar. Now, they say you can go to the restaurant and you can eat and you can get a drink, but you can't go to the bar and get a drink. Why the hell not? If you're standing 1.5 metres away, because that apparently is the magic figure, if you're standing 1.5 metres away from other people lined up at the bar, who cares? If you're 1.5 metres away from the bartender, if he or she pours your drink and puts it on the bar and steps back and you step forward and grab it, how can this possibly create a greater chance of you getting this COVID thing? I'm just going to call it a thing now because it's so ridiculous. Okay? How is it safe for you to eat a meal and then have a drink, but it's not safe for you just to go and have a drink? Okay, why aren't people asking these questions? And most importantly, why aren't people bombarding their government representatives who do your bidding? They exist to do your bidding, not the other way around. You should be bombarding them and asking these questions. How is this safe but this is not safe? How does this happen when this can't happen? It doesn't make sense. Please explain yourselves. Okay, Pauline Hanson got something right. Please explain. This is what we need to be asking our government officials to do. Please explain this insanity because it doesn't add up and it doesn't make sense. Now, as I said to you before, it's all about control. Now, the way to beat this control is to think for yourselves, to absolutely take responsibility for yourselves and encourage others to do the same. Now, I've said this before, the word government comes from the word to govern. Okay, the word govern means to limit. Now, depending on what your beliefs and your faith and all the rest of it, there's this general concept that we are created in God's image. Okay, we are limitless beings. So why on earth are we being limited by Muppets in suit and ties, in a fancy house? Okay, and those Muppets are actually just puppets who are having all their strings pulled by the elite further up the chain. They are being told what to do. Okay, as we explained on Tuesday night's show, the World Health Organization has already explained in detail that this whole scamdemic is simply just a training exercise. They've said that clearly. Yes, you heard that right. Let me show you. Okay, this is the document. You can find this online. I encourage you to go and have a look at it. It's called A World at Risk. It's the annual report on global preparedness for health emergencies. Okay, and this report was commissioned by who? The World Health Organization. Now, this is page 39. Go to page 39 and read this for yourself. This is entitled Progress Indicators by September 2020. Okay, today's date is the 14th of June 2020. So we're not far away from the other bit that they want to achieve, which you'll hear. The Secretary General of the United Nations, with the Director General of WHO and Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, strengthens coordination and identifies clear roles and responsibilities and timely triggers for a coordinated United Nations system-wide response for health emergencies in different countries and different health and humanitarian emergency contexts. The United Nations, including WHO, conducts at least 2 system-wide training and simulation exercises, including one covering the deliberate release of a lethal respiratory pathogen. Yes, you heard that right. They are spelling out that this is simply a training exercise. It goes on and says, WHO develops immediate triggers to mobilise national, international and multilateral action early in outbreaks to complement the existing mechanisms for later and more advanced stages of an outbreak under the IHR 2005. And finishes off by saying the Secretary General of the United Nations convenes a high-level dialogue with health, security, okay, that'd be the police and the army and, the National Guard if you're in the US, and foreign affairs officials to determine how the world can address the threat of a lethal respiratory pathogen pandemic, as well as managing preparedness for disease outbreaks in complex, insecure contexts. Okay? They are telling you categorically that this is just an exercise. It's not real. This is a worldwide exercise. Now, you don't have to think back too far, okay, to remember, what happened in London, okay, when they were doing the exercise on the tube and what actually happened. All right, do a bit of research, people. Okay, it's not hard to uncover the truth if you have a look for it. So, now that you're aware of that, you understand that we are all being played for fools. Okay, Forrest Gump said, stupid is as stupid does. So stop being stupid and stop doing stupid. Stop just blindly following like sheep going bang in your lineup. I mean, go to the Apple store anywhere and just see them all with their masks and their sprays and it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Okay, this is the time for businesses now. Individuals need to keep stepping up, but businesses absolutely need to step up. They need to send off those FOI requests. Okay, if you don't know how to structure a proper FOI, which is Freedom of Information Request, okay, grab this CD, the Freedom of Information CD. Not only will you see the responses that a whole lot of our founding members have sent, which have a ton of information in them, but you'll also understand how to construct the properly worded FOI for yourself. Okay? So, please, business owners, step up and start bombarding your representatives with these questions. Ask them for proof of the tests that have been done. Ask them for copies of the medical evidence that they are relying on to continue all this social distancing garbage. Ask them for the authority that they have to close down or to cause a private business to close down because of the restrictions that they are placing. Under what authority are they operating and issuing these directives? These are all questions that anyone can ask, but especially small businesses should be asking. Okay? So we need to bombard our representatives with these questions. And as I said before, we need to hold them accountable. Okay? And the quicker we do this, the quicker we can bring an end to this insanity. Now, once you've understood that this whole COVID-19 scamdemic has just been one big lie, please go to the other websites which are in the description and learn about all the other things that our government has been lying to you about. Okay? This book is an absolutely brilliant resource for that. Okay? It's the Know Your Rights Essential Step-by-Step Manual on Understanding and Exercising Your Rights. Understand how the government has been lying to you about the scientific, so-called accurate instruments they use to fine you. Find out how the government's been lying to you about the validity of the ATO and a requirement to pay personal income tax. Go and find out how the government has been lying to you about the so-called authority of local councils to act as a de facto third tier of government. Okay? Go and find out how the government's been lying to you by not detailing to you what Unidroit is all about and how private law has been brought into being in this country. Okay? Go and find out how the banks have been lying to you about what they really do every time they engage in a home loan. Okay? All of these things can be found on the websites and in the Know Your Rights book. Okay? And look, once you've done that, once you've understood, once you start asking these questions, then you can start taking action. So, as always, I'm going to leave you with a parting thought tonight. Okay? Get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. Thanks everyone. Enjoy the remainder of your weekend and I'll talk to you again soon.